Hey, you know that girl in the salt canister, the one with the umbrella or whatever?
Yeah?
She's a damn liar.
This is a hot dog is a sandwich.
Ketchup is a smoothie.
Yeah, I put ice in my cereal, so what?
That makes no sense.
A hot dog is a sandwich.
A hot dog is a sandwich.
What? Welcome to our podcast, A Hot Dog is a Sandwich. I'm your host, Josh Scherer.
And I'm your host, Nicole, Enayati.
And we're internet chefs over on Mythical Kitchen. Good Mythical Morning. When we're not making $1 million hamburgers or whatever, we're over here breaking down the world's biggest food debates.
That's right, Josh. And today we are debating the very salty topic of, are salt companies tricking you?
Yes, the answer is yes. Salt companies are absolutely tricky. No, the reason we wanted to talk about this is because salt is the single most important ingredient in your pantry.
I agree.
Not only the single most important ingredient in your pantry, it is the single most important ingredient in the history of food itself.
Yeah, and like life. Other than air, water, and like maybe like
fire, Earth,
I would say
the
salt,
water tribes.
Salt is like one of them. I think top 5. I don't think you can live without salt.
No, 100%. Yeah. And like literally down to physiological level.
That's
I'm not a doctor. I'm not a scientist. I think I could have made a great doctor. I'd be like Patch Adams.
You know what? I was going to bring this up too. I think you and I would have been such good doctors if we just applied ourselves a little bit more.
I think about that a lot. Looking back, like there's several routes I could have taken. And now I'm here yelling about salt.
I know.
But no, literally makes your cells function.
That's right.
Anybody who has ever drank Gatorade or heard the term electrolyte,
sure.
It's all because your body loses salt. You need to replenish it. Salt throughout history, we've talked a lot before about the Roman usage of salt,
Salt
right?
as currency.
Salt is currency, right? The term salami comes from salted meats.
The term salary has roots in salt, which is the craziest thing ever, because my brother's name is Sal, but like I never, I'm like, maybe his name means salt, but it doesn't. But it's just so interesting to me.
Yeah, because they used to literally pay soldiers from
salt.
Everything comes from salt. Every single thing comes from salt because salt was so important to the history of mankind. And a lot of that came from preserving foods, right?
Sure, of course.
And so back then you had if you lived near the Mediterranean, you probably harvested seawater and then boiled it, which boiling things takes a lot of energy, so that was difficult to do. So you're probably boiling it to distill sea salt that way. If you were in, say, Ireland, I know Ireland had a big salt mining thing.
Ireland has good salt.
You had inland, salt deposits. They're near the sea too. I don't know. Point is, you can mine salt from the land and from water.
Very cool.
And people did this primarily because you needed to preserve food. It became really important in commerce. Even though salt trade is several thousands of years old, your body craves the taste of it, which is really unique because we don't taste a single chemical that way, the way that we do salt.
Salt's very unique in that. Is it on your tongue map? You know how there's a tongue? Yeah, it is on your tongue map. There's sweet, salt, umami, bitter, right?
The tongue map's not real, right?
The tongue map?
Tell me about the tongue map.
Well, the tongue map, I remember learning about it in 4th grade. And we actually it's very interesting. We were laid out a bunch of, what are those things called? Ampoules? Little ampoules?
What is an ampoule?
An ampoule is it's like a sachet of liquid with a little top.
I don't even know if I know what a sachet is. All I know is sachet
a dropper.
away.
Okay, sorry. In layman's terms, a dropper. So we had droppers of each concentrated thing. So we had liquid sugar or liquid umami or soy sauce or things like that. And you would drop it on different parts of your tongue and the teacher would be like, did it taste different? And then we'd be like, yes or no, probably yes, because we were tricked into thinking the tongue map was real. Yeah. But yeah, I believe it's salt, it's umami, sweet, bitter, and
sour.
Sour's one. Yeah. Oh, let's see. Maggie pulled it up. What the frick?
Okay, there's the filiform. We're looking at the map of the tongue right now, which is
so bitter, sour,
creepy.
Umami, salty, and sweet. So umami and salty are sometimes considered similar.
Yeah, well,
but not really.
A lot of I'm about to spread so much pseudoscience right now.
There was so much pseudoscience in salt. We'll get into that too.
But so one of the reasons salt is so important. You have the commercial element of salt kills bacteria. So say you're preserving, let's talk about, salt cod. Cod's a great example.
Yeah,
Fish is something that spoils really quickly. A lot of bacteria in it. You add salt to it. The chemical composition of salt creates an osmotic reaction, which is to say it draws water out.
Yep.
Bacteria loves water. Bacteria
thrives in water.
Yeah. It's made of water itself. So the salt literally draws water out and dehydrates the bacteria itself, which is how salt cod became such a popular
important
food
item.
in so many different cultures.
Yeah.
You go Jamaica. right?
Ackee and saltfish.
Ackee and saltfish. You go to Portugal, you got bacalhau. Oh, love me some good salt cod fritters. England, salt cod's a huge thing. You go to Newfoundland, you get like salt cod gratin and stuff like that. And that was because salt was the technology to transport that. Down to the taste level, too.
Makes it taste good. Makes food...
It makes food taste good.
Can you imagine, like, food without salt at this point in your career?
Yeah, dude, because, like, I think we all at least went to, like, a parent's house. My parents weren't very concerned with health. I still grew up eating the snack wells and the like, fat-free dressing that was just, like, pancake syrup.
The wishbone.
Pretty much, yeah. Oh, God, the wishbone is, like, the dirt of the dirt brands.
Yep.
Eating wishbone as an adult is weird. I'm glad I can now afford Hidden Valley.
Or
Ken's? Oh, no. Ken's a little too fancy for me. But salt actually changes the way that foods interact with your mouth.
That's so true.
Which, and what we're all building up to is we're trying to eventually get to the idea of, like, we don't talk about salt enough in terms of your pantry. We take it for granted. When people write recipes, sometimes they go salt to taste, even though salt is like the only ingredient you should measure.
That's true.
Pepper to taste. No. Salt to the point where it's actually good. But one of the reasons it's so important throughout history is because the way that it changes foods chemically.
Sure.
So even like you think about cheese, right? Mm-hmm. Not only did salt make milk, salt made milk into a brick that we could put on a donkey and send to another area, right?
Okay.
But not only that, we get tastes like umami from salt.
After a while,
yeah. It's the salt and the aging, but it's literally salt is breaking down the proteins and rearranging them into like glutamates.
It's really
which makes your body crave it because then that's also glutamates are associated with both probiotics and proteins, which your body wants. You know, your body is like, salt tastes good because your body needs it. Sugar tastes good because your body runs off sugar.
I love sugar.
Your body is telling you the things that are good and it's awesome, man.
But how does that play into the fact that it's tricking you?
Oh, because there's now a lot. That's a great question.
Segue back to the tangent.
Bingo. But salt is like one chemical compound, right?
Yeah. NaCl.
It's NaCl, baby.
NaCl.
It's NaCl. You throw NaCl to my feet and I'll dance for you. But it's NaCl. In my opinion.
Okay, I'm ready.
This is a terrible opinion.
I'm ready for it.
It's just factually
I'm used
false.
to your terrible opinions.
All salt is the same, and the salt that you have in your home, you should only have one type of salt. And whatever type of salt you have, that is the salt you should always use.
Josh, shut the front door.
And I've gotten in fights with my significant other about this because when we combined apartments, I have one type of salt.
What is your one type of salt?
Most chefs, they'll tell you diamond crystal kosher, right?
Okay.
That's like the thing. That's the standard salt that everyone loves. I don't use that. I use the Kroger generic equivalent.
Me too.
Shout out Kroger. It's the kernels are like a little bit bigger.
They're good to pick up.
You get a good pinch.
This is not sponsored by Kroger, by the way.
No, but we do love Kroger. But I had been cooking with that for several years. I lived by myself for a couple years. Then we moved in together, and she has the Kirkland brand, 3 years old, a quarter used, pink Himalayan sea salt grinder.
Oh my God, don't get me
She's got the Morton's iodized. She has like a thing of like pretzel salt with the giant things.
Yeah.
And I was like, hey, can we throw away these salts? It's going to jam up the pantry. We're going to lose spices behind them and just use my salt.
She was like, no.
Because I cook and my salt's the correct one.
And she said no.
And she said no. And now
Good job, Julia. I'm proud of you.
And now I'm like trying to get rid of these freaking salts. So if I need to salt pasta water.
Use them up.
Yeah, I know. I'm trying. But I can't just throw them away because she gets mad.